Warrior, this is your Wednesday Warrior wrap up. We have a lot to talk about. It is September 4th, 2024. And
Don't mind me.
We have switched seats here because I've got to get a grasp, get a handle on what is going on here and be able to operate this on my own. Now, is everything my producer looking correct?
Well, ask.
I'm
5 by 5. Are we coming through?
Okay, 5 by 5. I'm not seeing anything.
Well, we got some people there.
So okay, so I do see that, but okay, I want to make sure everybody can hear me, and people are joining as we speak. And I'm just going to go ahead. Does this look correct to you?
I think it looks good to me.
Okay, we're going to go. First of all, we start with the very sad news about another school shooting. This one at Appalachia High School several hours ago this morning. That is in Winder, Georgia. Now, right away, of course, everyone was jumping on the gun control. Republicans are guilty of not passing legislation. I think, Warriors, you know the drill out there. I am here to tell you, because this is the work we do at the Warriors every single day, that we indeed have a youth mental health crisis. That is what we should be looking into.
This break is brought to you by
Whoops.
Adobe Photoshop.
What's going on here?
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
So go ahead.
There we go.
Buttons, underwater, pink.
There we go.
Sorry about that, everybody. Welcome, Justin. Welcome to the Warriors. As
You see
my
something here?
producer is here.
Don't
with
mind me. Keep
Uh,
talking.
We want to get a handle on all of this. But you know, I have to tell you, until we in this country, and I fear not, you know, this is the election cycle, as you know, and maybe this is some sort of distraction or a welcome distraction. It's horrible because I don't know the full details. I don't really believe anything until I have written it myself or my husband has written it, or I actually know from well-vetted sources. But as of now, a 14-year-old went into his school, a student shot 2 teachers and 2 students, God bless them, and their families dead. Again, I don't know if this is what I'm reading. So we don't know yet. 9 others brought to the hospital in serious condition. And we just refuse in this country. Thank you, Justin, for letting us know. And John, also Smith, looks good to us, conspirators, as you say. Remember, conspiracy is the truth. But anyway, I digress. Until we start addressing this mental health crisis that, you know, blogs are put out. Our own U.S. Surgeon General last year put out a mental health advisory. You know, I wanted that advisory, and people I talked to when this advisory came out over a year ago, it was a year ago, spring, I was like, let's call this, you know, an American crisis, our youth mental health, and how we have to address it. No. Let's just call it an advisory. We don't want to scare people. Well, dang, if you don't want to scare people with all this going on, a 14-year-old, our children are so angry, right? Why are they so angry? Kids have always been angry, but we did not have the shootings. We did not have family members at this rate that I can remember shooting other family members, unless I was in some kind of a fog and because of the internet now showcasing everything, but I don't think so. I mean, I go back decades. And saying, normalizing, habituating this type of behavior, I don't know. And we have to address this youth mental health crisis. And I just don't see it happening. It is something when I am in Washington next Wednesday on that day, September 11th, I'll be there talking to members of the Senate and the DOJ and the FBI about issues. And basically the subject is Lynn Shaw, Lynn's Warriors, what is not working. And then they just let me go, because once I start talking, you can't really get in there. Once I may have learned that from my husband, or we may be twins, because that's how we are. But I want to thank everybody for joining today. We need to build community. After all, our Warriors hashtag is community creates change. I'm curious what all of you think about this youth mental health crisis, because until we really, I'll do my best. Last year I was not in Washington as much as I could have been. And that was on purpose, because I was so busy here in New York City, boots on the ground, New Jersey, Connecticut area, of working with survivors, working with survivor leaders, people, victims, children, adults of human trafficking, sexual exploitation, domestic violence, because remember, it all goes together. Then I decided, when I was asked to come on September 11th, you know what? I've got to go down there. And if nothing else, I've got to put my big old face in front of people and say my 2 cents and get in there. Get in there, because after all, everybody else is shooting their mouths off. I'm going to shoot mine off with facts, reality, studies. And I don't go because, they those who are organizing this said to me about 2 weeks ago, so are you going to submit, your PowerPoint? Are you going to submit your, no, I said, submit my notes or PowerPoint? No, I speak from the heart and I stare everybody down. That is what I do. I don't need notes. I don't need PowerPoints. I need to connect. You need to show the passion, and you need to look them in the eye, and you need to say, and I know you understand. And I know somebody affected by fentanyl or by these shootings or whatever I mold this into, because all day long I do my best planning when I'm walking here, the mean streets of New York City, which, by the way, I was out all morning and afternoon, and the streets are bustling with people going to and from work, lots of tourists, business as usual. I was on the west side, the east side, Midtown. Everything looked pretty good to me today. I was up by the Plaza Hotel. I was by Columbus Circle, and it felt like old New York. So I am a great believer in the pendulum is swinging back ever so slightly. Things are coming back because they can't sustain the way they are. So you know what I'll be doing in DC? No PowerPoints, by the way. And I want to really get into this youth mental health, because I dare say, while I'm talking to you, all of the cable news, they're probably talking about this shooting and the guns and the this and that. Very nice distraction. Because right now, what is happening with children, with teens, with families, that's what I want to focus on. I don't care if it's Republicans or Democrats. I want it to be about these issues affecting us. That is what is most important to all of us. Sure, there are lots of things going on in our country and around the world, but I think we have to keep drilling away. It's about families, kids, teens, and all the issues that go with that. Darlene is saying, hi, everyone. Max says, we have to tell folks about this channel. Well, yes, you do. You as a warrior being here today have to tell everybody, and use your platforms. Let us leverage the internet for good, whether you're on Instagram, Reddit, I don't care where you are, X, Twitter, whatever it's called these days. I still really call it Twitter. I'm trying to be mindful. It's now called X, whatever, Facebook, whatever platform you're on, TikTok, the one platform I'm just not on. I've never been on. I don't want to be on. However, I have to say, I'm reconsidering that, but we'll talk about that in a little while, because I want to go. If you watched my last video with the title of Paris Hilton and also Drew Barrymore and Tim Tebow, I had the realization they have large platforms. And this is what I want to reiterate right now, again and again and again. I want everybody to listen up and listen good, okay? I am able to work. If you are a Democrat and doing something good for children and families, I will work with you. If you are a Republican, I will work with you if you're doing something good for families, children, right? People don't seem to understand that. When they saw the name Drew Barrymore, they went right away to, oh, I forgot about it already, her, because I don't give it mind. I don't give it attention. There's so many more important things. When she had Kamala on as her guest a few months back, I don't care about that. I care now that Drew Barrymore is on board talking about cell phones for kids and getting the word out there with her millions of followers. I'm sticking with that. I'm sticking with Tim Tebow. He's got the Tim Tebow Foundation. It's about sex trafficking and other things for children. And you know what? He seems to come out of the woodwork around the Super Bowl and some sporting events a couple of times a year. Other than that, he's not that active, to be honest with you, in any of this, but he's got millions of followers. I want to go where the platforms are with my knowledge, with my facts, and again, my realities. So I'm going to go there. So people have to get on board. We have to start thinking this way if we are going to be successful. We can't just say it's this way, that way. I don't like what they said 8 months ago, last year. Forget it. Paris Hilton, somebody sent me a picture. She's in a leather bikini. She is doing such excellent work. Now, remember, another reminder, as the facts change, society changes, We have to change with it. We have to pay attention. I don't care if she was in a leather bikini a year ago. Okay. I'm not talking about that. I am talking right now about her excellent work in the state of California, which needs so much help getting issues we talk about out there, right? With Senator Shannon Grove, happens to be a Republican. They are working together. The Children's Accountability Act, meaning these troubled teen homes and ranches, they are getting passed a bill for full transparency. Why should our U.S. government be giving, last year it was something like $3 billion to finance these places that have proven, and not just Paris, whose parents put her in, actually, as she claims, kidnapped her at 16 out of her bedroom when she was sleeping at night and brought her to one of these ranches where she said she was abused. We have loads and loads of other people stepping up over the decades now, since the 80s, sexually starved of food, showers thrown in dark places, locked up, isolated, so there is something there. Well, Paris is behind this with Senator Shannon Grove. It's excellent. Senator Shannon Grove also just got through. It is, I know, because I talked about it in my last video and people wrote to me and said, this can't be true. And I put links so you can read for yourself and do a little research, which is what I want everybody to do. But I put the link that Senator Shannon Grove in California, 18 and under, if you solicit a child for sex, a minor, have sex, this is a felony. They fought her on it. Again, these are bipartisan issues. When these issues come up for votes and go to a floor, whether it's the state, whether it's DC, where I'm going next week, I'm going to keep pushing that because I'm going to drive that one home, everybody. It's bipartisan. There is always usually a Democrat and a Republican on these bills. All of these issues, family, children, are considered bipartisan issues. Now, with that in mind, she wanted it a felony. Seems like a no-brainer to me, a minor, a child. Well, there was all kinds of fighting on the floor, and she was granted the 16 and under, which is really 15, is a felony. That got passed late at night, August 31st. And she will still fight for 16 and 17-year-olds because currently this is considered in California a misdemeanor. Go figure. But we know what goes on in California. So she got this as a felony now. Now it goes to Newsom, Governor Newsom's desk for signature. He will most likely sign it. So this will be 15 and under, a felony. Great. Now, we still have 16 and 17-year-olds. She is fighting that this language be put back in, or we'll have a new bill, right? We'll probably have to have a new bill since it's already gone to Newsom's desk for signature for 16 and 17-year-olds to be included because technically, right, they are still minors. So there's a lot of good work, and we have to be able to separate the now, what's happening now. So I want to get back to some of the comments. We have Darlene. I share them on Facebook and encourage my family to pay attention. Nothing is more important. Bobby says the young people now are getting so many mixed messages. Well, that's why we have this youth mental health problem. Max says the mobile phone and young mental health issues go hand in hand. I think, no, Mac, not you think, you're right. We know the internet. We have so many studies that say we have addictive algorithms. We have dangerous algorithms promoting mental health. Now, this is the issue that we always talk about because remember, all of these platforms, they are in the clear because right now, since 1996, they were granted immunity. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, everybody, because they are considered, I don't want you to glaze over your eyes and I don't want to go out there too far. They are considered billboards, newsstands, cannot be held responsible for third-party content under this Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which we are trying right now. I'll have more information next week when I return from Washington. And going forward, we are trying to sunset that and change up this Section 230. It does not apply almost 30 years later. So we've got to have some additional changes. A lot has changed in almost 30 years. And I know you'll agree with me on that. I want everybody to get on board with understanding. September is also, we're at the beginning, but it's also Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. And this goes hand in hand, right? We've had the shooting today. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about the internet, mental health. We just had a case in Philadelphia just today. The judge ruled that the mom of a 10-year-old girl who killed herself, I guess accidentally, she was trying to do this blackout challenge and following instructions on TikTok. And if you recall, the blackout challenge was something that was occurring, starting about 2 years ago. And we heard a lot about it last year. And she ended up strangled. Warning here, I don't want to shock anybody, but we're talking reality, right? And she ended up dead, a 10-year-old girl. Now, the judge, let me break this one down. She said that she's not holding TikTok responsible, but she's holding the directions. It's a little bit complicated. So this lawsuit, the mother can proceed against this Court of Appeals in Philadelphia against TikTok. And it's interesting. And again, I'm going to put these things in the body of this video so you can study up on your own and learn about this. We definitely know we have so many studies about the dangerous algorithms. We have so many studies about suicide. And kids, can you imagine going on TikTok and there's step-by-step about how to do these things? So let me throw out there, and you should know by now, everybody should know, 988 is the 3-digit code. Also, 988, it's 988lifeline.org. You can call just to ask mental health questions. Obviously, you can call if there's a mental health crisis with yourself or your children. You can find local resources through them. You can call them just to talk and ask questions. I urge everybody, there are free resources. Use them. Let us get the information out there. Look at all the issues we have. Look at the kids. So now what are we going to do today? Because kids invariably, they're on their phones and laptops and Chromebooks. They're going to know about this school shooting. So how are we going to talk about that with the kids? Remember, kids are smart. You can't hide things from them. So we have to talk openly and honestly, and always remember age appropriate, not give them too much information. Yes, this is terrible. Let us pray for the families. Let us think about the families and talk about, if the kids are older teens, certainly get into that mental health conversation. I know every child is being accosted online. And this is why it's so important that as Congress comes back, they've been on their recess, their break. I, of course, think they don't deserve one. You probably agree with all of the crises we have going on. They should be maintaining, maybe have a weekend and then be back on the Hill working on these issues. But we're going full force into urging all of you. This is where I need warriors to step up and take action, to contact. Just hear me out. You've heard me before. Urge them, starting right now. It'll go into their mailboxes. House.gov, Senate.gov, who represent you. We need House members to vote. We passed the Senate Kids Online Safety Act unanimously, down to the wire. Chuck Schumer, of course, because I just saw a picture before I started this, taking all kinds of credit and just tweeted out, I paraphrase a little bit, I am responsible for getting KOSA, Kids Online Safety Act, through the Senate, 91-3, unanimously. I, of course, say, who are the three? I thought unanimous was like everybody, but 91-3, he says unanimously. And it's on to the House to vote on as he's standing in New York State. I remind you, he represents me. I am his constituent, standing with that woman that is, well, I want to be kind. It's a family show. Randy Weingarten, you know her, everybody, teachers, all that, standing together. They're cheering. That woman is nothing but, in my opinion, everything you and me are not, right? It's about our kids and that education system that she's pushing and what she's pushing her teachers to do. And those that whisper to us, they are afraid to go against her. The teachers union is shocking, but we'll leave that for another program. But I need all of you. Again, that would be House.gov, Senate.gov. It will be, again, the bill in the body of this video. Also, the reminder how you can contact your House reps, because going back, which is starting next week, some of them are there now. We've got to get this going. This is the final steps. If it does not, remember, we have big tech fighting us. They have lots of money, lots of lobbyists. fighting us, it will have to start from the bottom up. And this has been a 3-year program we have been working on to get the Kids Online Safety Act passed. I have to remind everybody again about the alpha generation, something I'll be talking to Congress about again. Born, those are children born 2010. And there's John Smith with the fist up, the heart, and there's Nick Nightingale. I share Mrs. L's chats on Facebook. Nick is great, and he always gives me a thumbs up for the algorithm. Thank you for doing that. And I want to get back to the alpha, but I do want to say, I don't know if I don't see her here, Edie Crowley. Your children's clothing has been received and is going to a wonderful mom who has 3 kids on Friday of this week. So I want you to know that. And they're beautiful little girls' clothing. Thank you for that. I must share this because I found it in our office mail today. Again, I don't see Edie here. She would probably pipe up, but I'm going to show everybody this. Edie sent some beautiful, her little Autumn, her granddaughter, does these little watercolors she wants to do for the Warriors. Can you see these? And it makes me so happy when I open our office mail and I get these little folders with these little autumn paintings from Edie Crowley. And then Autumn signs the back. It's always with love. I don't know if you can see that. It makes me so happy. And we have such a collection of them. I'm going to make some kind of collage because I have a whole bunch of them now. And I'm going to make one big colorful collage. And it's going to be our Warriors, kind of one of our symbols. That's what I'm going to do with that. Again, this is a reminder. If you do have any used children's clothing you'd like to donate or anything, I will put the contact, where to send it in the body of this video because we are collecting for moms in need. Now, I want to get back to this alpha generation. I want to remind you, nobody's talking enough about them. Born in 2010, right? We're in 2024, 14 years. The first generation born into total captivity, born into everything's online, born into everything is streaming, not the traditional TV that we grew up with, right? We've got to put the guardrails around them somehow, some way. And well, Share Bear, sorry, Warriors, I'm jumping around when I see comments. I only have hand-me-downs. We take hand-me-downs if that's what you mean. If it's we're taking used clothing for children. Remember, like my mom used to share clothing with other moms she knew and we outgrew them and stuff. That is what we do at the Warriors to provide moms with clothing for their kids. Obviously in pretty good condition, but we're not being fancy here. Kids need clothes. So anything you can do, Share Bear, all is appreciated. But I want to talk about, Gen Z, the generation before this Gen Alpha, as they're referring to it. They were born a little bit half and half, right? They were born, you could still sort of watch stuff on TV because, we do a lot of focus groups behind the scenes at the Warriors. And they remember watching TV programs on Disney and all that kind of stuff and Nickelodeon. And also they were half and half into it was introduced all this online stuff and gaming during their generation. But Gen Alpha, or Alpha, yeah, they call it Gen Alpha for short. Totally born into this. So we've got to do something. We have, I think Kamala was supposed to be our AI czar. I thought I heard it announced a while back, but nothing happened there. Don't get me started on the border because I'm still looking for the 320,000 unaccompanied minors from other countries that are somewhere lost in the United States, plus the 85,000 from a year ago, April, somewhere in the United States. I keep asking government officials, those connected in law enforcement, where are these over 400,000? Remember, what do I tell you at the Warriors? If it's 400,000, could be 500,000, could be 600,000. We don't really know. We just know numbers are never accurate with all of this. Let me see. Nick says, by the way, Mrs. L, I sent you and Mr. L Facebook friend request the other day under my real identity. RR. To look into that. I don't remember seeing that. I will go back tonight and look at that. Okay. It's hard to keep up with all of this social media. There's so much happening on a daily basis. I do also want to talk about, I want to drill it into you again. If you go on the Warriors Twitter, please follow us if you're on it. X, Facebook, Instagram. These aren't popular subjects. the truth people don't like. We got to push it out there. I am urging all of you to use your platforms, the information I put out there. For instance, it is Suicide Prevention Month, 988. That could save one life, because our goal every day, because it's too big, it's too overwhelming. And I hear this constantly when I'm talking to people working in all of this realm. It's too big, Lynn. It's too much. If we have the mindset that we're helping one person a day, or we've done one good deed, we've retweeted information. That's great. We've put it on Instagram. You followed me on Instagram. We need to push it out so we build numbers, because once we build more numbers, the drill, the algorithms, we get accepted into more algorithms, because they don't really, I'm whispering, like the kind of things I talk about. So I need all of you to do that. I also, it's very interesting. We had our good friend Chris McKenna commented on this from Protect Young Eyes, another great website, protectyoungeyes.com. By the way, he's putting out tech advisories, little nuggets, almost on a daily basis. If you go to the website, protectyoungeyes.com, how you can put the safety features on an iPhone, an iWatch, a Fitbit. He will walk you through the steps. Free. Use the information. But he was talking about recently, the state of Louisiana was a congressperson there was trying to hold Apple accountable for these apps, and the App Store, that they're carrying these apps in their App Store, and that is harming children. And I'm trying to break these things down a little bit so it's not all over the place, because these things are kind of convoluted. For this age verification, I have been asking, how do you really enforce this age verification? Currently, there are 28 states. I think we're up to maybe 32 by now. I have to double check that today, working on some sort of legislation for age verification. But I want to know how actually that happens, because first of all, let's get back to the apps. But Apple, it was all moving along swimmingly. I just want to point out as an example, what big tech, they have so much money, and they have such well-paid lobbyists. I go next week to Washington. That's on the Warriors' dime. That's on my own dime. Nobody's paying me. But these big tech lobbyists can get anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 an hour in Washington. Now, imagine that. Imagine that. And they will just knock you over to talk to somebody. If you're talking, on Capitol Hill, when you're walking in the hallways, you see somebody, you grab them, you get in front of them, you exchange cards. I need Senator, I need a moment of your time. You got to just, work the room, so to speak. They will come up and knock you over if they want that person. And I'm not kidding when I say knock you over. They elbow in. They are a rough crowd, these lobbyists. And, so Apple killed this in Louisiana. They stuck their lobbyists on this bill, because a lot of these apps will say, as an example, okay for 12 plus, when there's a lot of sexual content on them. We have apps that say 8 plus, and so much sexual content. So the bill was, I'm trying to break it down for you, trying to get them to step it up or be held responsible. Well, that bill was killed because Apple came in, the argument being, should social media be regulated by the app developers? That was the argument. The App Store, the smartphone, as they called it, distributors and manufacturers. It got all out there into the weeds kind of thing, but it was knocked down. So we're back to square one, kind of. And as far as age verification, so the thinking is, you have to show online like a government ID. What a slippery slope, right? Showing an ID, taking pictures, submitting it. Then there's technology. Now remember, as I tell you all of this, and I've been told this by many tech experts, if we wanted to stop all this exploitation, we really could. There is the technology, but nobody's stopping it because it makes so much money. It's up to us. I can't drill this into you enough. That is up to us, because as all this commotion's going on and chaos and elections, we got to do it. So if your child, you need to have those conversations with your children, with your grandchildren. You may be a caretaker with children. Remember, as I always remind you, the family makes up many different dynamics today. We have a lot of different, we have aunts and uncles taking care of kids. We have older siblings taking care of kids. The family unit is different today. So I want to say we have to be the ones, we have to take the 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes a day. If you have 5 minutes to be on all these different sites, and I'm not saying you in particular, all people need to do this. You have to talk to the kids and the teens, gently. What apps do you have? Let me see. Remember, you pay for the devices probably for kids. You pay for the internet. You have a right. It's not their device. It's our devices in a household. You really have to instill this mindset of a digital family partnership. And you have to really look. Now, again, I can't tell you with parental autonomy, which I believe in parental autonomy, when to buy your child a phone or a gaming system. But there's a great story. Well, I shouldn't say great, that's not a good word. But he was just on Good Morning America. He is now 20 years old, a young man who has come forward because he wants everybody to know what happened to him when he was 11, 12, and he was gaming, and it wasn't his parents' fault. They weren't paying attention. He became, just as most kids do, obsessed, especially young men, boys, with the gaming. And he thought these people were his friends. And they did the same thing they do all the time. Nothing has changed in the 8 years since he started, 8, 9 years. Then they then say, let's communicate, by text message. We'll be more, because we're friends now. We're buddies, right? And then the texting starts. And then you know where I'm going with this. And then the sexting, which is sextortion, starts. This 20-year-old is bravely, and you'll find it on our Lynn's Warriors Twitter, wants everybody to know this story happened to him, and it can happen to your child or to you. So we need more of those type of influencers, right, to come forward, young people, so that young person resonates with another young person, or that 20-year-old can say, that 11-year-old, 12-year-old listening, if it happened to him, this could happen to me. We have to be the warriors, right? We can't get all tied up, other than when I ask you to take action, contact. I'm telling you, it helps us. The numbers, when I say go to senate.gov, house.gov, sign on Kids Online Safety Act, one sentence, I support KOSA. Again, I'll put it in the body of the video. Numbers count. But this young man's name is Harrison Haynes, and we have to support him as well, because traumatizing. Again, this goes to mental health. It's not stopping. We're not even talking anymore about AI, right? I'm not hearing anything about it. Nobody's talking about it. Just moving ahead as all this other stuff is happening. So we have to be very aware. I also posted, and it was an article posted by our collaborators, Common Sense Media. And it was for teachers in particular, but it really applies to parents and caretakers too, of all the different challenges now that are online for kids. Be aware of them, what they are, what they can do, what you can do. Let's see what Faye says. Lynn, most parents are themselves addicted to mind-numbing drugs. They're not able to focus their minds enough to raise kids. We must address that. We must address that, but it is so large. And again, it goes into parental autonomy. You can't tell somebody what to do with their kids. The more warrior workshops we do that are financed through your donations, through your volunteerism, we get into the public and we teach them. We teach them this is what you need to do, because even the parents, what a great social experiment, right? Let's go back in the last 30 years, all of this social media, isolating, taking up our time, giving us this content. I understand it's all happening to adults as well, but we've got to get into the schools, which we fight for, and teach the kids, because guess what? I'm going to push it right now. You need to get on board with the phone-free schools movement. That website, again, you'll find it on our website, lynswarriors.org. I'm urging all of you to go there. Also, phonefreeschoolsmovement.org, because kids are now reporting. Guess who's fighting us on this? And this goes along, Faye, with what you're saying. The kids are reporting once they get through the initial addiction, put it down, they're loving it. I kid you not. And the parents are the ones saying, I have to be in contact 24/7. Now, on a day like today, when there was a shooting, and I read a few different reports, I don't know if they're verified. Children did have their phones on them. A lot of the internet didn't work for them, the signals, but one girl in a classroom it did. So she let everybody contact their parents. That's a good thing. But we want to have these little cubbies perhaps in classrooms. There's no federal legislation yet for any of this, or should there be? It should be common sense. Cubbies in the classrooms where they're locked in a pouch, but you're able to grab it, right? Or perhaps even you just put it in the pouch and it's on your person during the day. And then if something happens, because I don't blame parents for wanting to be in contact. When I went to school, my beloved here, producer off to the side, we had the payphone, as did many of you. It's a different world. I have to always think of it's a different world. So I want to thank everybody. You've got to sign on to this movement, how you can get it into your school, introduce it into your school. It's all laid out for you. Again, I'll have it in the body of the video to make it easier for you to present, or you get one or two other parents along, the three of you go to the school kind of thing. We do have many states right now working on something, but again, it's going to be different for everybody. And I think after today, this will be an argument that parents are going to want their children to have a phone. So let's give every child a pouch. Now I know what you're going to say. They're going to lose the pouch, this, that. I don't know. We're not going to deal with that yet, one step at a time. And they can carry that phone on them, but is locked away during the learning. Okay. Because at least those parents, a lot of them got a message from their child today. And a reminder for all of this happening at this Appalachia, I guess it's pronounced. I have not had any kind of news on today. I've been out on the road all day, then jumped on the computer. We have to pray for these families. We have to dig into this mental health. We have to start learning. Use that suicidelifeline.org. I know it's the word suicide. It's hard to absorb, but you have information there, or you can ask questions, or you can ask for local resources. Faye says, yes, students aren't able to concentrate in school. The phones are pinging constantly. That the teachers are frustrated. Let's give teachers some credit. Also, the social isolation, 4 kids sitting at the cafeteria table together, all texting each other. We got to get away from that. We need eye contact, physical, laughing, storytelling, critical thinking, critical analysis. Let's get back to that. That's what we need, right? So please get on board with that, learn more. And also, I want to finish up with thank you. I want to point out, she was here the other night, the last time we did a live. I don't know if she's here, but please, a shout out to, I'll just use the handle. It's JOA008, who in today's mail at our office, I received a lovely donation. I want to thank you for that, because that enables us to get out on the road and offer our workshops. That enables us to buy supplies for kids that don't have supplies. That enables us to buy diapers and, yes, period products. I know. Timmy Wall says he's putting them in the boys' room, or has put them in. Girls and women need them, but the girls in particular. I talk to a lot of girls. They can't afford it. Their parents are poor. They don't go to school. They don't go to after-school activities. They don't do anything. They can't afford supplies. It's shameful in America. And I want to finish up with, I very much march, and I do a lot of legislation because I think it's necessary. There are 2 things to make a difference with all of this advocacy, all of this tough work. Legislation to create good laws, bipartisan laws that help us, help families, help kids, right? While that's being said, and I'm slugging it out, in Albany, in DC, we have to be the ones slugging it out in our homes and communities. I have to keep telling you this because it is escalating as I'm sitting here talking to you. The predation, the using kids to gain a buck on the internet. We have to open up. We have to talk to our kids. We have to talk to each other, and we have to become those adults where we say no, or we have the guardrails, or we have the limitations. And I'm going to leave you with this. If you do one thing on this Warrior Wednesday, I'm going to leave you with 2 things. I really need you to go and find out house.gov who represents you, to write to them and say, please support KOSA, which is the Kids Online Safety Act. This is a minimal invasion of people say, no, big government, get it out. Well, if the devices and the apps and the platforms in Section 230, if you're not doing your jobs, you know what this breaks down to? Kids Online Safety Act, this little bill, which would be the first piece of legislation in almost, 26 years. 26 years. Can you believe this? It basically says harmful content, we're going to hold that platform accountable. If they don't have enough moderators, if they don't take images down, sexual content, threatening, bullying content, they're responsible. Now, I think you'll all agree with me. That sounds reasonable, right? Why should it fall into the hands of kids and parents and grandparents and caretakers to have to be those guardians? We have so much work to do as a community. Faye says, thank you, Faye. Trump will be a fool if he doesn't use you as Secretary of Education. Well, Faye, I wouldn't last a minute because I am a warrior, okay? I can get more work, and this is true because I've had a couple of people ask me about running for Congress. I laughed, and it's very flattering. Thank you. I get more work done behind the scenes. If I'm in any sort of position like that, my hands will be tied. There'll be so much red tape. I will do my best, if I'm going to just say it right here, if Trump is in office, to have that relationship, to give ideas, suggestions, take actions, get them on board with his administration. So we'll leave it at that for now. We've got, what do we have, 60-something days until the election?
63, I think.
63 days, roughly. I'm going to say 2 months. I never tell anybody how to vote. Now, I'm looking at myself frozen in this.
Oh,
hold on, everybody. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm freezing. Ooh,
there we go.
There we go. I said the T word, everybody. So I think they froze me, if you know what I mean. I never tell anybody how to vote, and I never would. Okay. You use common sense. You pick the best candidate for family, for children, for education, for our groceries, for our gas, protection. I have my glasses on, everybody. I think you know who I'm voting for. But again, this is serious stuff, and we can't let our guard down for a minute. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you for the wonderful donations coming in. Remember to subscribe to Lynn's Warriors here on YouTube. We need to build community. Remember, community creates change is our hashtag. We need to share the videos. We need to do everything in our power. And I'm going to leave you with, we need to pray for those poor students and teachers and families. This unfathomable, this shooting, and this reported 14-year-old. What makes a kid so angry he's going to go in and shoot up his school? What makes a kid so angry he's going to murder his parents and his siblings? What makes people so angry that they keep wanting to hurt people, hurt children, hurt babies? It is unacceptable on the Warriors Watch. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Nick. Everybody for joining us today. Thank you for being here. Let us continue. Stay tuned for the next live until I can get more of an actual schedule. We're all over the place. So forgive me for that. But this is the best we can do right now because we are truly boots on the ground. Community creates change. I leave you with, remember, each and every day, go out and be a warrior.
And I can attest to that.
Thanks, everybody.
Up there at the top right, honey. See that? Where it says, right up here. Let me do this. Hang on.
I got
right
it. I got
up
it.
here. There
Honey.
we go.
I got it, everybody.
Thank you. Say good night.
Good night, everybody.